Today we are going to create a plant creature together. I hope you enjoy the video. I started by covering the plastic bag with masking tape. I'm making this part here, the head. Now I need to make the cheeks. For that, I will also use the plastic bag to create the structure. We'll divide this bag into two parts, right in the middle. Now I make two small plastic bag balls and cover them with masking tape as well. Now it's time to join these three parts together. Let's reinforce it a little more. Alright, I think that's good. Now I will roll out some clay to start covering the head. For that, I will use an acrylic roller. I got a bit lazy to dye the clay, so I won't dye it this time. And I think I will start buying pre-dyed clay because dyeing the clay is a lot of work. But you can see that just a little pastel chalk dust already gave it some color, right? I think that's good, more or less this thickness. No matter how much you clean the table, there's always some dirt left, but that's okay. Now I'll cut off the excess clay. As you can see, there is a hole here, and I'll use this hole to insert the wire for the skeleton of the body. I'm only covering the front part with clay, not the back or the bottom. Here where I'm marking with my finger is where the eyes will be. So I'm pressing gently. I don't need to be too detailed now because I'll still add a lot of clay on top of this layer. This is just the first base layer. I changed my mind and decided to make the eyes out of clay as well. Great, this is where the mouth will be. Sometimes the best tool is your own finger. It needs more cheeks. So I made 2 balls about the same size and flattened them like this. These are the tools I use the most. They are silicone tipped brushes in these shapes here. This is what I will use to attach the cheeks to the face. I also like to use these watercolor brushes with water tubes. They are great for hydrating the clay. Now, very carefully, I'll blend the cheeks into the face. Alright, I think I can add the mouth now. I will join the parts together. I think it needs a bit more cheek here at the front and on top of the lips. The gap between the upper and lower lips is a bit too wide, so I will try to increase the mouth opening a little here using this painting spatula and removing some clay. Actually, looking at it from the side, I see it needs much more cheek. So I will add the cheeks. Again, I made 2 spheres of the same size and flattened them like this. They need to be the same size. I think it's better to sculpt the eyes first. The cheeks go over the eyes. I'll set this piece of clay aside for now and start with the lower eyelids. I think I will place all the clay first and then blend everything. Alright, I think I shaped the eyes well. Now let's move to the upper eye area. I think it needs to be thinner. Alright, I think it looks good. Now onto the cheeks. Alright, now it finally has big cheeks. I think it needs a bit more mouth or maybe a chin. I'll apply some water to the face. Oh, I still have to sculpt the nose, so it's a very simple nose, but I'll let it dry before making it. For now, I'll just add some texture to the cheeks, thin little marks like this. Alright, that's all for now. I'll have to let this head dry. Now let's start building the body structure. For that, I'll use these wires. Actually, this is copper wire, and they are already the size I want. This middle one is like the spine, or let's say the backbone. This one corresponds to the right side of the body, and this one to the left. It's a very simple structure. I separated this part here to mark where the arms will be. So this part here are the arms, and this part up here where I bend it, it's where the head will go. The head is much drier now, and there is a space to insert it. Now I will join these two sides together. I'll bring this one around like this. This leftover part can be cut off, but if this were a character with a tail, I could leave it as the tail structure. But let's cut it off. For the rest of the body, we need to add aluminum foil to fill it out. I'm just pressing it like this. You can see it needs much more aluminum in the belly area, so I'll add more and reuse some old masking tape I have here. Alright, I think that's good. Time to cover everything with masking tape. And this is how the skeleton looks like for now. I placed the head just to simulate how it will look. I'm thinking about adding the little leaves to its hand now. It's just, I would just need to tape them in place. Now let's continue sculpting the back and top of the head, and also the nose. Now comes the part where the little plant sits on its head. Let's attach it here. I really wanted to finish all the sculpting today, but I'm starting to think that it will be difficult because it's already getting dark. Finally, I'm placing the little plant on its head. Perfect. It looks great. Now I'll add some texture to the back. And here's how it looks with the texture. It's 6:30, so I think I have still some time to make good progress on the body. Oh, and I almost forgot the nose. A little smaller. Alright, I think that's good. To be honest, I'm not on the same day or even the next day. I had to configure a bunch of things for my store and couldn't continue working on this plant creature. But let's keep going today. I'm starting to test the pose I want for its arms. To make texturing easier, I'll leave the arms stretched out for now. Once they start drying, I'll bend them into place. I had to remove some aluminum from the feet to fit them in, but I won't do that now. I'm comparing the feet to make sure they are about the same size. I notice it needs a bit more clay around the eyes. I've started working on the neck to connect the head to the body, but I'll only do that once the body is dry. It needs some extra bulk in this area, so I'll add more clay. I'll be back once it's drier. Now I'll make some corrections to the arms and legs. Alright, I can finally bend the arms a little to position them, but I won't bend them as much as in my drawing because I wanted its chest to be more visible. Now I want to add more clay around the tights to make them thicker. And now the ball technique again. Oh, and I almost forgot, it has a kind of a symbol on its belly. So add a thin layer of clay to draw the symbol. So I think that's good. But the legs still need some filling. Now let's move on to the feet. For now, I'll let it dry before adding the other side and attaching the head. I'm adding some clay around the neck so it will be partially attached already. let it dry until tomorrow and hopefully I can start painting. Finally, it's time to sand and paint. I'm using a very fine sandpaper. I think it's good now. Now I will remove the dust with a wet brush. I will let it dry for a bit. I diluted the PVA paint with water to create a base layer. I use matte PVA paint. It's already looking so cute. Now let's move on to the mouth inside to add some depth. I just mix it a little black into the brown. I use it for the body. I will add some color to its cheeks, and for that I use dry pastel. On the body too, I like doing this as if it were covered in dirt. Not that's actually possible for a plant creature to be dirty with soil. After all, soil isn't really something dirty. It's a good thing, especially for a plant creature. I wanted to deepen the shadows under the eyes to give it a more intense look. This is the state of my hand. It's very dirty. And that's all for today. And tomorrow I'll move on to the varnish. So it's finally varnishing day. This varnish looks white at first, but then it will turn transparent. I'm letting the front dry before moving on to the back. I'm using the fan to help me to dry faster. You can see it looks really shiny, but that's temporary. Soon it will become more matte. For the eyes, I like to apply a glossy varnish. Now I will apply some varnish here on the sides, under the arms, and on top of the head. I think I can move on to the eyes now. And this is the big moment, applying varnish to the eyes. This is when they seem to come to life with their little eyes shining. A little bit inside the mouth as well. And that's it. Now let's let it dry some more. All done. And this little ribbon is so it can be hung on the wall. I love it. It turned out so cute.